Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another Monday night edition of everybody's favorite race and talk show. This is indeed the Revved Up Sports Show.
The best.
Showtime Bobby Chappie right here. The Iceman, Ronnie Rodriguez, punching the buttons over there. A little bit of rock and roll and disco intro tonight.
That's what I do.
You always did want to be a DJ.
I did. Forever. Country, though.
No, well, there's that. Yeah.
Country music was my thought. Welcome in, friends. Glad you all are a part of the program tonight. We've got a fun one coming up. Garrett Gregory, the bounty hunter. The bounty hunter. I posted that, and people are like, he didn't win the bounty. I'm like, he won.
He won the bounty. I was there.
Yeah, he won.
He passed both number 94s to win
That's
that
right.
race.
That's right. Don't hate. Don't hate. He's a bounty hunter. He's coming up, and then, dude, I am super excited. 7:10, we get to talk. We were trying to figure out who we wanted to talk to from 105, and I've been slacking ass on doing show prep and everything for this week, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to call the honorary recipient. Howard Willis rejoins us.
Howard Willis with the show again. Obviously going to be a special, very special weekend down at 105 Speedway. That's going to be one hell of a show. Working on logistics to get myself there. I know you're doing the same. Going to be a challenge.
The man
of stuff happening that
the
weekend.
man that said that he was going to whip my ass.
And he backed it up too.
Yeah, he did. He sure as shit did. And then coming up later, we get to talk to Jared Edmond, big winner there at South Texas Race Ranch. So very, very cool show. Thank you all for being a part of this. Be sure and share, push us to the masses. All of our friends checking in on Race on Texas. Another big weekend there of action happening with the network there. But Bobby, I do want to dive in right here. I want to ask you, because we always talk about, and I always repost the first 15 because that's kind of the best part of the show, because that's very raw, uncut, unfiltered, just kind of bullshitting about whatever. So you got to go. So you took a bunch of people to the racetrack for the first time. And I want to get your analysis of what they were saying. And there's no need to pick on a racetrack, because a lot of these racetracks operate the same fucking way, to where they do all the same shit. But so what you go in there? What did they think of the entire presentation that they saw this past weekend?
Well, part of it is, I got to first off thank H and Marianne for the hospitality. They went above and beyond with my coworkers. Letting them experience race control and stuff like that. So
you went all the way up there?
Yeah, they got a chance to experience the whole 9 yards.
They heard HE saying, "Slow the hell down."
Yeah, I even kind of poked in during a couple of cautions and had him turn around, and he shook the hands of a couple of my coworkers. So, thanks to them they're just going above and beyond and just being super cool and wanting them to get the full experience, which they did. As far as the overall reaction, I think the biggest thing, so one of the things I think that they had some of them left at intermission, because I don't think they were ready for the marathon.
That's not surprising.
Because they got there at 5:30, 6 o'clock, a little late start, about 7:20 down there. But we ended up having a really good time. The racing action was good. The track was exceptionally good for the heat races. And it's the same thing. One of the things I noticed is with one of the people, they were kind of a gearhead, and it got harder and harder to explain the different stock car classes. And that's not to say that they run too many, because a lot of the tracks run the same. You had a factory stock, you had a stock car, and then you had another class that was run the street stocks. They were all running metric cars, and it was kind of hard to explain the difference between metric. So the street stocks, these guys have a Camaro clip. Some of them do. Some of them are full-fledged racing frames, for the most part. So you could explain those, but it got a little hard to explain the difference between the stock cars and the factory stocks. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, they had a good time. They did not stay for the whole show. Like I said, they were not used to the whole 8 hours of commitment that sometimes it takes to sit in front of a racetrack.
Yeah.
I ended up actually staying fairly late myself, but it's like you say, if I'm going to stay at a racetrack till 2 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be on my accord, not because I'm watching race cars done. They had a little bit of a late start. They ended up finishing up just a tick before midnight, and my friends had been long gone, but all of them even reaching out to them today, saying, hey, they wanted me to tell you that thanks for coming by. They were all like, man, that was awesome. Got a couple of new fans. They're talking about going up on the 26th. So, and it's been hard, it's been hard for me to get to Cotton Bowl, despite the fact how close it is to the house, a little over an hour. because the way the schedules shake out, Cotton Bowl and Texana go head to head, and it's hard for me to break away from Texana. Clearly, just committing to the track and the announcing down there. So when I saw an opening in the schedule where Cotton Bowl wasn't racing head to head, and had friends that had been talking about wanting to go to the races at the office that I worked at, been trying to get some of them to come for 7 years, right? Even back in the old Central Texas Speedway days.
Damn, that long?
That long. So, and finally just got an opportunity, messaged a couple of people, said, hey, there's the deal. I called I went to the top. Like we talk about on the show all the time, if you have a question, comment, or concern, and you can't find the answer, give it to the promoter, and the promoter will tell you. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I did. I got with Marianne, asked her some questions about some tickets and some of the schedule stuff, and she got right back to me, let me know, and then, it was on from there. So they had a good time. Milton Hope did a shout out for me and the coworkers, so they liked that too. So it was, all in all, I think it was a success. Like I said, some of them are going to go back. Some of them said they go back again. They may not go back. Wait till it's a lot cooler, and temperature wise to go back. But
the enduro,
yeah,
go to the enduro,
the icebreaker enduro.
That's kind of the main thing to do right there. And I think kind of what you're talking about right there. And again, that was not something that I asked you before we ever started, but what he's talking about right here is what I talk about all the time on this show. You've got to condense this thing. And I'm not picking on the racetrack that you were at, because I see it at every freaking racetrack that I go to. It's like, man, this thing drags out on and on and on and on. And you're going to keep the 50 people that always go there all the time. They're going to hang the whole thing. They're going to stay all the time. And the whole thing is, I mean, they're like guilty. I mean, they want to go home, but they don't. I mean, they feel like they need to stay there. And that's why I think that when you get all these shows together, when you have a weekly show and you're trying to pile in 8-10 classes in there, I mean, it was the downfall of asphalt racing in the state of Texas. And the whole thing is, everybody gave us a bunch of grief as to how that was killing racing. It's like, my God, why in the hell are you running 10 classes? Why don't you run 4? And then I go to tracks all around the state around here, and you got 7 or 8 classes. I'm like, well, what happened?
Yeah, and the part of it too, though, was that the car count was exceptional at Cotton Bowl.
Well,
just like their ecosystem,
they don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, their ecosystem is great. They have great sponsors, they have great car count, and really good buy-in from their racers over there.
Yeah.
So a couple of the people, they left at halftime or intermission, whatever we want to call it, because they had 3 heats of car. Had 18 to 20 cars in every class, so they ran 3 heats. Mm-hmm. And you get 7 classes with about 3 heats apiece. That's for them that don't know anything else. That's 21 races.
Right.
They're like, so what's happening next? I'm like, well, they're gonna remember how they had 3 heats of the same class. I was like, of 18 cars, they're gonna bring all 18 out and race again all together. They're like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And then it was like, then I had to explain to them, well, it takes this time and this time, and then
yeah.
Like I said, some of them they just started falling off just because they just didn't know.
Yeah.
I've taken some hardcore fans to certain racetracks, and with the fact it was running so late, they couldn't stay.
Well,
but I mean that but it's part of it. Racing is the unique thing. Our hardcore people are going to stay, no matter where we go. Whether we announce in Waco, we announce at Cotton Bowl, Texana, your hardcore fans are going to stay for the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is with the newer race fan. They show up. I mean, some of the younger people that you're trying to get out to the racetrack, they come out, and at whatever point, you have all the heat races and all the shit that happens, and then you have a big intermission in there. They say 10 minutes, but it's never 10 minutes, and you have that in there. And it's like the newer race fans, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. That not race fans, the younger folks, 9:30, 10 o'clock. That's when they're like, boom, here we go. It's time to. They're doing all that, and you're still sitting there at intermission with jack shit happening. I think that's the big part of the problem, and it. When you start feature racing at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and that's a drawback. I mean, because you got to be entertained. I mean, you got to have shit happening. And again,
you have to have an intermission though.
Well,
you have to give the fans a time to at least take a quick break so they can go take a piss.
Well, and I see right here, Birmingham says it's called Saturday night racing for a reason. Yes, to you guys, to us, yes. That's right.
We know when we get there at 5 o'clock, we're going to be there till midnight.
And that's the 50 fucking people that are going to hang around. When you're trying to draw new people in, they're not going to sit there and watch nothing. They're not going to sit there and listen to the music. playing on the PA and sit there listening to he or I sitting there telling jokes and doing all these different things. Man, they're going to go find something else to do. I mean, they're going to go sit out in the car and listen to a podcast and head on down the road. I mean, that's old school right there. That is old school logic exactly right there as to the old fan versus the new fan. And we can sit here and say, the old fans, yeah, whatever. There's not a lot of old fans left.
You got to get the new blood in.
You got to get the new people in.
But I got to tell you, in my mind, there needs to be at least enough intermission because you do have enough combination of your hardcore fans and if they're trained right, say, okay, look, we got a quick intermission. We got the heat races are done. Main events are coming up. Now's your chance. Take a break. Run down, visit the house. Run down, visit the concession stand because sometimes fans need a chance to take a break so that they can actually. A lot of them don't. The old timers won't admit it, and even some new, they don't want to miss anything. So they sit there and hold it on that long, and that is uncomfortable for them. Then they finally break. Yeah. They want to take. So I think you have to have at least a 10-minute intermission.
Well,
something just to give them a break so they come back wanting more.
And that's the whole thing to where, I mean, I work at Waco, and I'm about to throw them under the bus. Is a couple of the last times that I've been at Waco, it's like, okay, 10-minute intermission, and they want to get out and work the track. And I get that. I get that. I know you got to, I know we're in a fucking drought and all these different things that are going on, but you get out there, then it's a 10-minute intermission, and you're going to go work the track for 30 minutes. It's like, and people are sitting there, and again, the regular fans are going to be like, all right, we'll just sit here and whatever. But it all comes down to the new customers, and I know that we don't think that we need new customers. But the next time you're at a racetrack and you look around and there ain't nobody in there, where's the rest of the old people that used to be there?
Although I will say with the heat, Cotton Bowl had a really good crowd. With back to school, because the back to school races, we've talked about it for years and been paying attention to it for years. You never know what you're going to get the weekend before the kids go back to school during the week, because you don't know if parents are trying to save money to pay for school supplies because school supplies are expensive. They may allocate that racing money they used to get in to buy new school clothes, haircuts, all that stuff. So you never know what you're going to get when it comes to the weekends right before back to school. And I saw the Race Ranch had a fairly decent crowd.
That was a great crowd.
Down there, but they also did the backpack giveaway, so that helped out some.
Yeah.
Marion had a good decent crowd. The Waco crowd on Friday night was fairly normal for their stuff. So I think all in all, I think that the tracks that were able to get in had pretty decent car counts despite the heat and despite the fact that they're fighting those fighting all the other external variables like back to school and school supplies and all that. So it's I was impressed with the crowd they had at Cotton Bowl.
Well, the whole thing is you're going to get people to show up, and that's a good thing. But then you go back to the whole streaming thing, to where folks don't have to go, and that's
the beer's cheaper and AC works.
I know, and I don't know what the Race on Texas numbers are. We're not privy to that. But that's a different option right there that changes that up to where you don't have to be there. And I'm not picking on people. I know I'm going to get blown up because I'm being negative Nancy here about everything, but it doesn't have to last all night. It really doesn't, and a lot of that, at the Race Ranch the other night, I sit there and I see cars, and this is, again, not to pick on the Race Ranch race control because, the guy employs me for crying out loud, for different times, but you got to sit out there and spin out and wait for a yellow flag and all that shit. I'm like, come on, man. Let's keep this thing moving. Yellow flag. Oh my God, it starts and rolls right off.
Yeah, well, it says in the
shit. But that's nothing new. That's
2 solos and you're out, right? 3 total and you're gone. Supposed to be.
Well, that's what I've been told. So anyway, but that's the whole thing. It needs to be more, spectator friendly, and just get them in, get them out the door, and let's go. But anyway, so let's go to the hotline for the first time tonight. Rant is done.